All right, so today we're going to be talking about responsive design. Because when you're working on the site, people are going to visit that site with different devices, and devices that we have these days come with different screen sizes. So, and you want your site to be responsive. So, which means if one user is using phone to visit your site, it's going to look nice on that phone. And if another person is, checking the site out on their desktop, is still going to look nice, and that's what we call responsive design. So your site can adapt based on the screen size that the user is using to view your site at that particular time. So look at this site here, which is the Shopify. If you look at it, look at the way the element, look at the items we have at the top here, and let me scroll down. As you can see, the way some these items are being displayed, there's 3 items on this line are being shown. But now let me reduce the browser. Can you see now? It's no more showing 3 per line. It's now showing one items per line. Again, to scrolling back up, as you can see, some items that were here before, they are no more showing because there is no space to show them at that particular location. Expand again, see all of them, look at the way it is, then go back to a small screen. You see that things change, or some element are taken to another side. This is what we call responsive design. So look at this button, these 2 buttons on mobile, and take it to desktop. Scroll down, as you can see, it's quite different. Where they are being placed is different, because here now you have enough space so you can put them anywhere you want, but on small screen you don't have that space. So since there is no space, look at the way they are being placed. They are placed on top of each other. So you should be able to design, or whatever site you're working on should be responsive. That's the number one rule these days. So like the olden days that when you want to do something, they'll be telling you that this is the browser you are going to use to visit that site, or this is the browser, just like all these NYC, they'll be telling you that this is best view on Firefox or whatever stuff. That's wrong. That's nonsense. Because these days, anybody can just use anything to just visit your site. Even some people, you see that they can check on their watch and so forth like that. So don't want to be, because they are checking on the watch, doesn't mean your site should not be okay to people that are using watch. So this thing is just for people that are using desktop. Okay, this thing is for people that are only using phone and so forth like that. No, your site should be responsive. And how can we do a responsive design in CSS? So we're going to be talking about what you need to do in order for your site to know that, okay, they are on a particular screen size. So here, the user is on small screen, and the stuff is going to change on your style based on what you gave to it. That okay, when you're on small screen, this is what you want to do. When you're on this particular screen, this is another thing, or this is the way you want to lay out your content. Every site you see these days, they are always mobile responsive. So if you go to this OpenAI tool, this is how things are being displayed when you are on desktop. So we have some item by this side because you have enough screen. Again, the content here is being laid out 3-3 like this. But now, changing this thing to mobile, you see that that side disappear. It's because no space. Because if you put this in here now, it will take a lot of space from the major content on the page. And as you can see now, some stuff will now pop out that you can now click on, and that's when it will now show it in a form of overlay like this. So how do you do this overlay? When we are talking about the positioning property, we are going to see how to do something like this. But this one requires JavaScript, because you can see I'm clicking on something before it's open or it closes there. So we need JavaScript to talk to the element. But we're going to do the design from the CSS. We won't be focusing on the JavaScript part. And when we get to the JavaScript, then we now connect all of them together. And for the content that are being displayed to, as you can see, they are being stacked on top of each other. And for this one, it's now 2 or it's even 3, but now it's scrollable. But this is wrong, because you don't want, here now if I'm scrolling, there's no way we know something is actually by this side like that, which is wrong. So they are not supposed to do it like that. Once you're on a mobile, the way we used to do it, that every element that used to be side by side, they are going to be placed on top of each other, or it's going to be horizontal scrollable, like automatically, not that the user will be the one that have to be scrolling left and right. It's bad that the user is scrolling left and right, because for me to see content, I have to scroll to left or scroll to right. Sometimes you might not even know that something is there, and you miss that information. And if you look at the bottom part, to look at it, everything is just stacked on top of each other. But if you go to desktop, you see that they are being placed side by side because there is enough space there. So this is what we call responsiveness, like this. The site is responding to the screen size that the user is working. But the site that we worked on last time is not responsive at all, which is really, really bad. It looked nice on desktop, but now if you take it to mobile, look at what we now have. Even though it still looks a little bit okay, but now imagine that you're on a small screen, because this one said is around, let me see the size of this current one. I'm not in dev mode right now, so I can't see it. But we can go less than this on a small screen, because on small screen, like phone, is not big like this. So you might not even see this image at all. And if you look at the original site that we follow, you see that the stuff is actually responsive, because they want to show this thing nice and better to people on small screen. So this is the site. So going back to their sign up page, no, this is still what we did. This is our own. So let me click on the main one. Yeah, this is the original site, and once this thing is done loading, we should have the stuff. But look at the way it's not displaying. It's showing like a mobile. But let me reload, because it's not showing the correct site. Or the CSS is not even loading. Yeah, it's okay. Everything is not loading. So this is it here. Look at the way they have it on desktop. But now if I change it to small screen, can you see what they did? The image is at the top, while the content is on that. So the thing is responsive, but our own is not. So we need to be able to do something like this. But look at the way I'm doing it, because I want to check responsive design. There, I'm only checking it for small screen, but I don't even know the size that this thing is currently on right now. But as you are designing, it's not just for desktop and mobile that you'll be designing for. There is a range of screen in between desktop and mobile, and we have some of these common screen sizes that you can work with. So normally you know about laptop, there like that. Again, we have tablet, but it's move like that. And again, we have the mobile. So when you are designing, it's always going to be in the range of these three that we have. This is the name, but you have range of screen in between this laptop and the mobile. So we have the design for desktop, you have a separate design for tablet, and you have separate design for mobile. But most of the time, the design for laptop and tablet, they are always close to each other, because you have enough screen. Most of the time, you always see that some sites will even skip this tablet there like that. It will just be between this laptop and the mobile. But when you're talking about the laptop too, you can actually have something known as the small laptop. So you have the medium laptop, like this one now. This is medium laptop, but this one now is large, because the screen size of this one is 1920, while this one is 1000, this in there, I think 1003, three like that, 1300 or so. So you see that this one is really bigger than what we have here. So it's not just about laptop. Under the laptop, you can have the small laptop, you can have the medium, and you can have large laptop. The same thing too for tablet. You have the small one, you have the medium one, and you have the large tablet. The same thing too for mobile. So we have the small, we have the medium like this, and we have the large mobile like that. So and each one of these here that you are seeing for this small, medium, they have a corresponding screen sizes that we have for them, and those sizes is what we call break points, because this is where as this design. So let me look at it from here. So let's look at it from here, and let me go back into that design again. So let me keep increasing the stuff. You see that to get to a point, it will move to the side. That's what we call break point. So that's where you are changing the stuff to where you want it to be. So look at it, it's still not changing. So but once you get to a particular, as you can see, once you get to a particular size, you see that there's going to be a switch in between them. That's what we call break points. And for every screen size that you want to design for, we have these standard breakpoints that you can follow there like that. So for mobile, the breakpoint that we have for mobile is between this 0 all the way to this 767 like this. So we have a 767. This is where the mobile stop. So the breakpoint from mobile, this is where it stop, right from 0 all the way to this side. So we call it the mobile. And for the tablet, the tablet starts from, so we have the tablet, it starts from this 768 like that all the way to 1023. So this is where the tablet stop. All the ranges of tablet you want to have is always between this 768 all the way to 1023. And from there, you now have the laptop. So for the laptop, it started from this 1024 and above, depending on the size. So for the mobile, we have this 0 to 76. Anything below 767 like this, they are mobile. But you can have, in between, you are going to have the small mobile, the medium mobile, and the large mobile. But all these things, how do you test them out when you are building the site? How do you test all these your site out for different screen sizes that you want? Because when you are developing this thing, there's no way you have all the devices of the user or these devices that the user can be using there. There's no way you have all of them. What do? You emulate the stuff. So you are going to emulate the stuff. But how do you do it? Luckily for us, the browser have all the tools that you need, or you can even add extension to your browser to give you a different screen size. But you don't need to do that. In your browser, there is something known as dev tools. So in the browser, we have the dev tools that you can use to monitor and you can use to inspect what is going on behind the scene. So everything that you are seeing on this page, there's some stuff that the browser is doing behind the scene, so that the user don't need to worry about. Yeah, can you see that something was showing here before that number now pops up? The browser is doing something behind the scene. Then when that thing is done, it gets data and it displays it on the screen. Before, what you saw there is just ... because that data is not available yet. So the browser needs to go and get it. The same thing here too. As you can see, the loading is showing first. So how do you know what the browser is doing behind the scene? That's where the dev tools comes in. As a developer, you need to be able to know what the browser is doing behind the scene. Because when there is error or the thing is not showing correctly here, you should be able to inspect what the browser is doing behind the scene. Is it doing it correctly? Then if it is correct, is it getting the actual data that you want? Not to concern about the user about that. You as a developer will be the one that need the dev tools, and it's part of the browser. Any browser that you have, they already have all this tooling in them. So to see it, just go to the three dots. Most of the browsers have this three dots at the top. Then you go to this more tools down here, and as you can see, we have the developer tools, which you can bring out by using this Control Shift and I. This is what I normally use. I don't come here because that's long journey. First, you click this, you scroll down, and you do that. But you can just hold down your Control Shift I, and it's going to bring out the dev tool. Can you see? So something is going to pop out like this. Depending on the browser you're using, it will pop out under for some browser, but I normally put it by this side because I don't like the under one. But you can actually change it too, because the thing have the setting. If you want, as you can see, you can show it under. So it's going to show under the page. So it can be like this, or it can be by the side, not you. I do not want that. That's not what I want to click. Not you. This is what I want to click. Active bar. So it should be by this side, not at the top. Again, too, this one too is talking about all this action at the top. But these are some browser we arrange it, but I don't like that method. I prefer this one that it's simple. By what you are seeing here before is the same thing here. I just change where the thing is being positioned, because you might open your own browser or some other browser that it will not be displaying like that. So you can customize them. So you can see it's here before, but now I've moved it to the side, or it can be at the top or like that. But this one too, it can be by this side, but I don't like it by this side. I always place it by the right hand side. So you can place it anywhere you want based on the setting they have, but I always prefer it by this side so that I will be seeing what is going on here and I will still see the code. So this is one of the tooling that the browser is giving us to inspect or to monitor what is going on behind the scene. And this thing comes with a lot of tooling, which is using icon right now. But let me take it to that one that I used to show. Just that one now, you will not even see everything like this, the way it's showing. But these are some of them where we have this live selection. So this one now, it allows you to select any element on the page and it to show you the code that is generating that content on the screen. So if I want to inspect what they use for this thing now, I can quickly, as you can see, once you move to any one of them, it will be showing you the HTML code that they use for that particular place. So if I want to see what is going on with this button, as you can see, it's not button, it is a tag that they actually use it. So I'm saying it's button, but after checking the code, I can see that what they are using is a tag. And as you can see, the href, which is going to the plus there. So the live selection, you can use it to quickly just move on top of any element and it will show you the HTML code that generates that particular place. Maybe you want to see the CSS that they are using to do something like this. You quickly see it because once you click on it, it has this element section and it has this style section. So the elements, this is where you are going to see the HTML code, while under the styles, this is where you see the CSS for that particular element, and you can adjust it. Can you see the height is 44 pixels, they have the minimum width on it, and the padding is this value there like that. So whatever stuff they are using on that element, the CSS, you are going to see it down here. The HTML, you are going to see it under the element. So this is what we call the live selection. And the reason it's live because you can just, you don't need to click on the element, just go there. Once you on top of that element, it will show you the HTMLs. As you can see, what they use there is SVG to generate that stuff. So for this particular area, you can see that it is P. You might be thinking this, they are using H1 or something like that. But what they actually use here is P. But the only thing they just do is to apply a class of this display one. But what is this display one? As you can see down here. So display one, this is what they are applying there, and some other property that that element is taking. So it will give you everything under this place. So you can use it to inspect. Maybe you see a site. I love this site. I love the way they do this text. So what do? You just open the dev tools, or you can just right click on the element. You are going to see inspect. It will open this thing up for you too. It's not much that you use your control this thing to open it. Just right click on the element and click on inspect. So it will do the same thing, but the difference is that this one here is live. You can move to any element directly. Can you see? It will still select the stuff for you and it will open up the element tab where as you can see, it will open up the element tab, and from there you can see the HTML and along with the CSS value. And if you want to see the final, don't forget 2.5 rem 2.5 rem, you know that that's not the final value that the browser will use. So I've talked about this one too when we are talking about the units. You know, we have this computed here that you can use to see the final value. As you can see, everything is always in pixels because that's what the browser is using to measure the screen. Just that some of these units, they are, you know, dynamic. They can change because they are depending on something. And when that thing they depend on change, it will recalculate the final value. And you can see all the final value is using for all of them. So for this font size, as you can see, it's 38.25. But I know that from here, they might not even be using it. Can you see? They are using RAM. But this is the final value of the stuff like that. So you can use computer, but most of the time, what you'll be using is style, just to quickly preview the style that is being applied. But if you need to go or deep down to the final value, you just go under the computed. Here, the browser will have computed everything for you. So you just see the final value at that side. But here is where you can see all the style that is being applied on that particular element at there, so that you can say, oh, here now, why is this not working? Since it's not working, what do? You come here. The browser will tell you what is going on here. Once you draw any line on top of this thing, it means it's not using that stuff, or something has override the stuff somewhere. So you need to check the stuff or look for. Can you see all this one? As you can see, draw line on top of font size. So it's not using this font size. is using font size somewhere, which is the one we saw at the top here. So this is the font size he's using. And why is he using it? Is because they use important, which I've explained what that thing is doing. So override any other setting, just use this particular one for that property. So, and this is where you can come here again to emulate or to toggle device emulator. So here now, you can emulate different screen size by using this second option here. So this first one is to quickly, select element and see the stuff they are using to generate it and the style. While the second one is used to toggle different screen size that the browser is having there. As you can see here now, this thing is showing you how it's going to look like when you're on this particular screen size. So when you're on 375, this is how the site is going to look like. When you're on 1024, as you can see, this is how the site is going to look like. And you can use this browser emulator to quickly, preview how your site or to see how things is going to look on that particular screen. That doesn't mean it's giving you the full gist, because if you look at it, it's only emulating 75% right now, because this screen is actually 1024. I thought it was 1003, but it's 1024. That's why it cannot, cause look at it, there's some extra space that's being used already here. So there's no way this side will not give you 100%. This one is only showing you 75% of how it's going to look like on the real screen. This is how it's going to look like, but this entire width here doesn't mean this is the correct 100% of 1024. It's only giving you 75% view of it like that. So which means if you still go to the normal screen, there are some element that might do some stuff, but using this emulator here, you can be sure that 90% of the time, whatever you are seeing here is what you are going to see when you go to the real device. Because now if I close this sidebar, as you can see, this is now 100%. See that it looks the same there. Like the difference is just that the text are kind of bigger, because it is not showing you the 75% of the voice. Can you see? It still looks the same. So 90% of the time, once you use emulator and it's okay there, it's always going to be okay too on the real device there like that. So this emulator, and again too, it comes with some predefined screen for phone and other system, and you can click on the edit in case you need to add more. As you can see, they have a lot there like that. If you want, you can include, as you can see, other phones or other screen that you want to show. But mostly all this one that is showing already covered some other, because not that you'll be designing for different screen. So you are going to design for iPhone 6. You decide, no, you don't do it like that. What you do is to design for a range of screen, because there is no way you can design for all the phones. It's not possible. Each phone have their own screen sizes, but the thing there is that they are always in a range of value. So if you go back into this side now and we click on this iPhone SE, as you can see, iPhone SE is 375. But now if I change it to iPhone XR, as you can see, that one is 411. But you see that the gap there is not that much. Everything is still under mobile based on that breakpoint that I talked about. So we work based on breakpoint, not just based on a specific value for the screen that you are seeing on all the phones. So we will work based on breakpoints. So, and we have all these popular breakpoints there that you can work with, which is something I've mentioned already. So we have the 0 to 767 for mobile. Anything in between that range, just assume that it is mobile. But sometimes you need to focus on a particular range in between them if you want there. Maybe you see that design is not looking okay. You test the stuff on iPhone 14 Pro, but when you now check it on other phone, you see that there is little stuff that is going on there. You can actually select a range for that device and you apply your CSS like that. But how do you apply all this CSS? How do you talk to the browser to do something for you when it is on a particular screen size? So when the stuff is on a particular screen size, you want the text or you want the content to be placed on top of each other, or you want to change the color to another thing, or you want to do something based on the range of the device. So in our CSS, we can use something known as media query. So in CSS, we can use something known as media query. And it started with this media. So this thing is not just for this thing is not just for responsive design. It can help you to do some other things too, like printing and so forth like that. But for now, what we just want to use it for is responsive design. So the media, the next thing that follows it is the type of the media that you want this your style to be applicable on. So the type, which is what we are currently working on, is known as screen. So this is a screen. So when you want the stuff to be, to apply your style based on the screen, we can use the type. Instead of this one, is not going to be screen. What you are saying here is that anytime the media is screen, whatever you are doing here, that's when it's going to apply it. For example, here we can say the body, the background now is going to be red. So for our application, when we're on the screen, the background will always be red. But when we are not on the screen, that you are not in any other type of media, which I'm going to show you, another type of media is print. So when you're in printing mode, that's another media entirely. So you see that it will not use background of red. It will be using what is there before. If you don't use media and you just type your CSS, it will use it for all of them. Doesn't care about the media type. It will do everything. But if you want to do something based on orientation, maybe they are in portrait mode, on landscape mode, or maybe their color, their system is in dark mode or is in light mode and so forth like that. You can use media to tweak your style based on that type of media condition that is there. So let me go back into the site. Yeah, can you see? The background is now red. But let's press Ctrl P to print. Once this thing gets to the printing now, this is another media or entirely on its own. So this one now, you are no more on the screen. You are now in another media, which we will call print. And that's the reason why when you want to print your Gmail, when you want to print something from Gmail, the way Gmail is showing when it is on the screen is quite different from the one you see when you want to print out, because they apply different style based on whether you're on screen or you want to do printing. But these days, almost all the sites don't care about printing. Who print this site these days? So people don't care about the printing part. What they care about is just the display to the user. Can you see now? On the screen is red, but when we want to print, it's showing this white, because we said the only time this thing will use background of red is where we are on this media screen. But when it is another media, as you can see, it will not pick that setting. So it's a condition. You are telling CSS that the only time this background for the body will be red is when we are on this media or screen. But if it is outside of that, this one now, it will work for everything. It doesn't care whether it is printing or something like that. It will always use the same thing, whether you are printing or not. So this same thing too, we can expand it by talking about screen size too. So when we're on the screen, because you can actually supply multiple conditions by using and. So you are going to have, for example, here you have the condition, let's say condition 1 and condition 2 and condition 3 and so forth like that, depending on the number of conditions you want to attach to your CSS there. So here, what is going to happen is that whatever you put inside this media, it will only happen when this condition is okay, and this condition is okay, and this condition is okay. So that's how it works. It will check all these conditions, and if all of them are okay, that's when it's going to check inside and apply whatever you put under it. And here too, we can quickly do something like that for this by using media. I'm going to put screen like this, and I have this mean width of 768, which is something I mentioned. So this is tablet and above, like that. So what am I saying here? Let me expand this thing. So this is something is missing here. So at media, like that. So what am I saying here is that when we're on a media of screen like this, and the width of that screen is bigger or equals to this one, like less or above this one, or not less so. When the stuff is equal to or more than this particular value, whatever you put there, that's the only time it's going to apply it. So whatever style you are doing here, it will only apply it when you're on a screen, you're not doing printing, and at the same time the screen size is equal or bigger than this particular value. We are using our CSS property now, main width. So which means from this value and above. If it is downward, you can do that one too by just using at media, then screen, and max width like this. So max width, using 480 pixels like this. Well, what am I saying here? Whatever style that I want to apply, it will only work when we're on screen, and the maximum width is 480. So if you have something like 420, 400, anything less or equals to this, that's when it's going to apply whatever CSS you put there. For this one, the only time to apply it is when you're on the screen and the width of that screen is equal or more than this particular value. And this is what you can use now to achieve your responsive layout, because you can use this one now to talk to the browser. When the user is in this particular value, you can see that I did not just say it's equal to, I did not say with width here is 768, because if you do it like this, it means you are only focusing on 768. But here, I'm not focusing on 768, I'm focusing on a range of value. So this one and above, as long as width of the browser or where you are displaying the content is equal or more than this value, just apply whatever you have here. And what are you going to be doing is everything you have been doing at the top that we have there like that, which is something that we can use, for this our design here. So when we are on very design for desktop, so here now we can condition our media query that when we enter screen that are meant for mobile, we don't want you to place them side by side again. We want you to place them on top of each other, like that. So when we're on the, so how do we emulate this thing? We can use our Ctrl+Shift+I so that it will bring out the DevTools. And when the DevTools is out, as you can see, look at the way it looks like on iPhone XR. See that it's not looking okay at all, but on this screen it's better. But after going into the responsiveness, can you see it's not looking nice? Let me go to Pixel 7. As you can see, this one too is that range of value. So let me go to iPhone 12. As you can see, it's not looking okay at all. We want this one to be on top, why this one is going to be under, or you want this one to be at the top and the image be under, but it doesn't make sense because the user will not even go down, because this is what they want to interact with. So if you want this one to show, it's better you put it at the top so that the user will scroll down and now feel whatever they want to feel inside the box, like that. As you can see, the browser has some of this common screen that I mentioned. So for this, can you see the mobile small? So when you're on the small screen, this is mobile, but it's really small. So the value is this 320. This is another mobile, but this is what? Medium mobile. So any screen like this 375 all the way to this 425, they are referred to as a medium mobile. And when you get to this one, all the way to 767, they are referred to as large mobile. They are still mobile, but they are really large, which is around that 6 inches phone and so forth like that. So, and once you enter this 768 down, you enter the tablet word. So from here now, all the way up to 1023, they are referred to as tablet, which we can emulate with this or this iPad here. As you can see, this iPad mini, as you can see, is 768. But now if you go to the iPad Air, see that one is 820. But it's tablet, but it's still within the range of the tablet. And if you go to this iPad Pro, as you can see, that one is even really, really big, which is going to that small laptop screen like that. Again, Surface Pro, as you can see, this one is 1912, like that. So Surface Duo, as you can see, 540. This one is small screen, mobile too, because 540 is still under the mobile, but it's a large mobile. So we have different screen size for different devices that you're using, but you want your site to always look nice. But not that you'll be targeting each one of the devices there. There's no way you can do that because we have a lot of devices there. But what you do is that you target a range because all of them they used to be in a range. So for the mobile, it started from 0 all the way to around 767. Then tablet starts from 768 all the way to 1000 That's the range that you always see in all the most of the tablet. That's the range that you see there. And we can now use that since we know that okay, these are the ranges that all these manufacturers used to use. Then we can now condition our site that once you see this range of value, this is how you are going to display the stuff. Once you see this type of range of value, this is how you are going to do the stuff and so forth like that. And that's where the media query comes in that we can use right now. So anytime we're on a media or screen, because we don't care about the printing, and when the max width, so which means from this value downward, so which is going to be 767 pixels, because on tablet I can see that that thing is actually looking nice. We don't need to do anything on tablet. So look at it on tablet. So let me go to 768. Can you see it's looking nice there already? So what we want to target is anything less than tablet. And you know that for us to get that, we are going to be using this 767, because once we enter 768, you've enter the tablet word like that. So anytime we're on a screen that is less or equals to this value, we want to do something. What do we want to do? We want to move this one to the top and we want this one to be under. What we need to do there is simple. It's just our normal CSS that we have. So what do we use to put them side by side? So if you go back to the page in our code, you see that we have two sections. We have the section for the left and we have the section for the right. So how do we put them left and right? So if you scroll up to the parent, you know that the body is the parent. So what do we do there? We display it as flex. And you know that anytime you display something as flex, it will place them side by side. But you know you can change the direction, that you don't want it to be side by side, and that's what we can do here. That once we enter any screen less or equal to this value, then the body now, we want to change the direction to something X. And that's what you always do. And that's what you see all those sides that are doing. When you're on the desktop, they are side by side. When you get to mobile, they are now on top of each other. What they are changing is this direction for the CSS there. So once we get to a small screen, because we know that this is small screen like that, once we get to a small screen, we want you to place them on top of each other. So now once we go to a bigger screen, it will be side by side. But if you go less than 768, then it will be on top of each other. But that's a problem. You know, this one did not have anything like height. So that's why this white area is taking all the space. So we can just select that one too, and we know that it is left. So we can just say section with the left. So this one should have a minimum height, because you can say that even though this thing can still expand, but we don't want it to go less than this stuff, because if you don't specify, the browser will work based on this content that you have there. You know that this one now did not have much content, but this white area, which is the right side, is having more content. So it's taking all the space. If you remember the flex that we talked about, even we don't even need to do like, I think we use flex already, so we don't, or we can just use that minimum. So what is going on there is that this one is taking more, is taking times 3 of what is there. As you can see, we said the right should be 1, if the left, okay, we do not, yeah, so you can see the left is taking 2 and this one is taking 1. But on the mobile, it's not following that our value. Why? Because this one has small content and this one have bigger content like that. So you know it can shrink and it can grow. But since this one has more content, you know it will take more than that. So what we can do is to give it a minimum height, just like what I want to do down here. So even though the content is not much, just give us a minimum height of let's say 200 pixels. So you can shrink, but don't go less than this particular value that we have for the height there. So going back to the page, can you see? Then it will mean like the minimum of that. And again, so you see that the image, like the CSS value that we use is for when we're on desktop. See that it's cut out the edge, but we don't want the edge to cut. We want to see more of the head. If you look at what we applied before at that place, this is what we did before. So let me go back again to the left. So as you can see, we actually use this center and the top to be this 60% for the position of the background. So you can, what you are doing here, you are actually changing your property. That's just what you are doing there. The only thing you do is that you are conditioning these properties. So it's not that it will just apply it anyhow. It will only apply it when the media is screen and the screen is less or equal to this particular value. Once you leave this one, it will not apply that CSS again. So once you go to another screen that is bigger than that, it will not apply. But if you go to any screen less than that particular one or equals to that one, it will always work. So whether I increase it like this, it will keep using this. But once it touch, as you can see, it's still around 500. It will get to 600, then 7. The 7 too is still working like that. But once we enter that 7, 6, as you can see, so that's the what we call break point, because that's where it's breaking into another this thing there. So we call it breakpoint, and we have common breakpoints online that you can search for. Some of these framework for CSS, you are going to see how to use Tailwind later on. Some of the common this thing for CSS framework, they come with their own predefined standard breakpoint that they are using. Like when you are designing with them, these are the breakpoint that they follow when they are helping you to create your layout like that. So they have their standard. So you can see they have all these tablets. You can, this one is when you want to change it yourself, but by default, this is what they are using. Can you see for medium 87, 68? Can you see what it's going to do behind the scene? That's the reason why you need to know about CSS first. Even though you are doing it like this behind the scene, can you see what it's going to generate for you? When you say the small is just represent small phone like that. So can you see small phone is 640 all the way to this. Then from here to here, that is your tablet. Then from here to here, that is your laptop, which is the large laptop like that. Then from here to here, this is another laptop, but it's really large like that. So that's what is going on. And you can see the same thing that I use is what is using it. But you know this one now, they did not condition it to screen like that. So if you want it to happen to all the media, it's not enough that you just do it like this. So you can just remove this. It means it will always work for all the media, whether you are printing or you are doing. But most of the time, you only want to focus on the screen alone, not printing stuff, because who print the site these days? Most of these sites that you see that they are fine here, if they are using media query for screen, you see they are going to look somehow once you get to the stuff. And that's the reason why when you are designing, you focus on the mobile first before you focus on the desktop. But right now, the way we are doing our own is that everything that we have at the top, we assume that it is on the desktop. Then down here, we are now changing some stuff based on the mobile. This is what we call desktop design first. So, but what you always do, or what I will be doing as from this moment on, is going to be mobile design first. What that means is that when you have a design that you work on, we focus on the mobile first. Then once we are done with the mobile design, then we now scale it up so that it looks nice on desktop. But that's how you do the design. Designing for mobile first, then from there scale it up is better than you designing for desktop and you now scale it down. When you are scaling down for some of this complex side, you are going to change a lot of values. You are going to change a lot of things, because on the desktop, all design used to show. On the desktop, you only see a lot of things coming out. But once you go to the mobile, you see that they are now hidden. So all those ones now, can you see now the side is not showing again? So assuming you are doing the desktop first, all those things you are showing on the desktop and you don't want it on the mobile, you have to start creating the CSS that will now hide them. But when you start with the mobile, you know that you're only focusing on the small one first. Then you now scale up and display the one you need on the desktop later on. And that's the reason why it's always good that you start with desktop first, mobile first, then you now expand it to the can you see all this one too? You see that it's still looking like mobile, even though we're on this particular screen there. So it all depends on the design you are working on. Whatever the design is given to you, can you see it on the tablet too? It's still showing like mobile, because they want the user to focus more on the content. But once you get to the laptop, you can see is when you get to laptop that this thing is coming out. On the tablet, on the small screen, you see that none of this thing is coming out. So it all depends on the design, but they always follow the same principle that the UI is changing based on the screen. But where is it going to change? It all depends on the design that is given to you. For example, look at this design now that we're going to be working on in the next class to apply our responsive design. So this is a design that we're going to work on in the next class. So look at it. So on the mobile, can you see everything? They are stacked on top of each other. So this logo, the heading text, the form and the button, you can see everything is just stacked because there is no space. But once you get to desktop, can you see now? So everything here that is under before is now placed beside this one. But there is a small challenge here, which something that we've already talked about. See that on the mobile, see that the image is coming first, then the content is second. But when it's on the desktop, the content is now first, the image is next. That's where the reverse comes in. Because in the HTML, you might arrange it like this, that you type this code first and you now type the image second. But on the mobile, that one is telling you that the image will come first and this thing will come. So way of doing this is for you to duplicate the code. You have a code for desktop and you have the code for mobile. But that's waste of time because we have flex, and flex can work in both directions. So it can be in a normal direction, the way you arrange your content, or you can reverse it. Now when you reverse, what is first will go to last, and what is last will now be the first. So we can use our reverse that we talked about here to do this in easily. Without that, in your code, you have to duplicate the stuff. You create the one for the mobile and you create the one for the desktop. That's how we used to do it before Flex comes in there. You have to create different elements to handle different screen size. And that's the reason why those days people don't want to do all those stress. They will just tell you that if you want to do something, just go and check it on the laptop. You cannot take it on the phone because it will not look nice. Because they don't want to start duplicating every time just because we want this thing to display differently. But with Flex and Grid that you're going to see later on, you see that it's quite easy to work with responsiveness. The only thing you just need to do is to condition your style. So by using the media query. So we are putting the condition here that the only time these selectors here and the value that we have inside it will work is when we are on the screen and at the same time the width of that screen is less or equal to this value. If I want, I can just change this one to min. You see that it will reverse. So when we're on desktop, you see that it will be showing something that is not supposed to show, which is not making sense, just for you to see that you are the one in charge. Whatever you give to this thing, that's what it's going to do. As you can see, once this thing is saved, let me reload. Is it saved? Because this is not what I'm supposed to see. There like that. Yeah, it's not saved. Oh, it's saved, but because of this thing that I put here, this is not how to create CSS. So let me remove all this thing because it's saying this error. So let me convert it to a comment and save. Go back to the stuff like this. Are we still in the same thing? Yeah, so yeah, it's still less because this is 753. So let me go down. Can you see what it's doing? It's now showing the design that we want for desktop, for mobile. But once we go to desktop, it's not using this. So it doesn't care. You are the one in charge. It's not that the thing is looking at your screen. It's what you put in your code that the browser is going to follow. It doesn't care whether you are actually displaying correct stuff or not. So you have to use the right stuff here like that. So max width, we don't want it to go more than this. And now once we go back there now, we should have the correct design on the desktop, and for the mobile we see it stack. And now this one, can you see it's quite easy because it's easier for you to scroll up and down rather than scrolling left and right, because scrolling up and down is what you do online. Like whatever site you are visiting, you have to scroll up and down, but scrolling left and right is kind of tedious, and user will just get that because you can even lose the content that you are reading like that. So you don't allow your content to go side. The only time you want to go left and right is when you know that that thing is going to scroll for the user automatically. And I think this site is using it. Where is this site again? which is this Shopify. I think I have it under Tailwind, so expand. So Shopify, I think they are using this slider, or yeah, this side here. So as you can see, the thing is just these three items, but let's go into the mobile view. So it's not going to be three again. It's just going, can you see what it's doing there like that? So it's not going to be two. So you can now scroll left. Can you see that it's scrolling for the user to see it? But it gives sign that I see something left, because the user, if they did not see that stuff, I can say, oh, this is the end. Let me just keep going to the next line. But since I've seen this thing, I know that there's some content left. So that it's not doing this thing on desktop. It's when you get to the mobile that is scrolling like this. And if you want to, you can do it on the desktop. So it all depends on what you want to. It all depends on the design that you are working on, or the designer that you are working with. And that's the reason we have different designs that we can work on, and based on what we have on that design, that's what we follow to like that. But in the next class, we're going to be starting with this design. Then from there, we work on another design again, and after that, or even after this one, I can just move to JavaScript, because some other design that are here, it requires JavaScript to work with them, because you will just be seeing them, it will not, or you will not be able to. And that's why I'm picking that one, because it requires no JavaScript. There is no JavaScript there. Everything there is just normal HTML and CSS. But this one now, it requires JavaScript before you can design this one. You design it, but it will not work, or it will not be functional, which is not what you want there. Because when you're on mobile screen for this design, you see that everything that they put at the top, they've removed a lot of them. What is just there is that three dots that used to be there, which is what we call hamburger menu. So we call it hamburger menu. That's the name we normally call it. Yeah, load on time. What are you loading? So it's still loading the stuff. Yeah. So this thing that you are seeing here is what we call hamburger menu. It's still loading the image. Why is it taking time? Is it large like that? Yeah, 4,000. Really large. 4,047 stuff. But it's not supposed to take time like this. Let me use increase. How you want me? So this is it now. So this is what we call hamburger menu. So when you now click on this stuff, that's when it will now bring out this item. And as you can see that the icon to change. Once you click, this one will come outside, it will come out, then the icon will change. And once you click on this icon, then it will go back into this one. But on the desktop, this is what you have there. So can you see? These are what is there on desktop. See that the design there is not the same. So you need JavaScript to be able to combine all of them together. All this one will be hidden. Then once you now click on it, it will come out in a different design. Because what you have here, you see the same thing as what you have here. The difference between them is just that it's coming out with, or it's coming out in its own box. And again, too, it's on top of the other content. So how do you place things on top of each other like this? That's where the positioning property comes in. And I think in the next class, we can actually add this into it, because it's there too, just that one, it's not having much content like this. This one have a lot of content, but the one we want to work on is not having much content. So even on small screen, it will still, accommodate the entire content. But for this one, there's no way you can place it side by side with the other content. It will not work, because the content will go on top of each other there like that. But the one we want to work on, that one, the content at the top is not that much. So it's just simple content that is there. So for this one, so let me open it. Let me open the stuff. Yeah, so as you can see, the content that is just there are this. You have the features. What's wrong with this system today that is slowing down? So what we just have there is features, theme, and signing. And if you go to mobile too, you see that it's that stuff that is showing there too. So there's no hamburger menu to show them on it. That's what you always see on most of the site. When you're on the mobile and they have a lot of content to show that you don't want to bring out on the mobile, what you only see is that there's the same thing like this one too. You can see it's coming out like that. So the network has disappeared. What's wrong? So it's always in that way. And then you can now click, look at this now. There's a lot of things here that you cannot show on small screen. So once you enter the small screen, as you can see, they will disappear once this thing is loaded correctly. It's still loading. Okay, I think it's done loading. Can you see? The only thing that is just there is this icon for search. But once you go to a bigger screen, other one will come outside. But on small screen, as you can see that, can you see again too, on 425, you see that it has this hamburger menu, which supposed to, I was expecting that thing before, and at the same time, as you can see, we have it. But when you now click on it, can you see, that's when it will now show. But now if you go to bigger screen, as you can see, that one will disappear and this one will show, because it's conditioned. And you can see what they are using here too. That is just media query too. If I enter this small screen, you see that all the CSS for media query will come in, but that's when you see them. It's when the style is being used, that's when you see them coming outside. So let me click on any of the elements that is using media query there. So let me click on it to inspect. And once you inspect that element, you see the style being applied using media query. So where is the parent that owns that stuff? So this is the button, like that. And you check under the style, can you see they are using media? So when you're on the media, anytime you want to do any conditional stuff, you have to use media and you give it the condition that you want this thing to follow, or the time is going to come outside, or the time is not going to come outside, and so forth, like that. So this is where we stop. You need to update that your site too to be mobile responsive, and you deploy it again there. So once you deploy it, it's still the same link that you are going to use. So what you just need to do, go there again. You are going to see new deployment. Not that you are creating another site entirely. It's still that same site. Once you click on the link, not the open in external. Once you click on it, under their dashboard, you are going to see by the right hand side where they put new deployment. Then once you click on that new deployment, it will bring out a box for you to re-upload all the code that the changes. You just select everything again and you put there, it will update. It's not that you'll be creating another website for each one of them. No, it's just one site, but you are updating the stuff. So yeah, so that is going to be all. Stop.